the powder was set. So in the morning, when the sun rose upon the Charleston neck, we looked out to see nothing. General Prevost took his army and left in the night, quietly, without detection, and went away. As we were starting to gather and get the army reformed, once again, I was sent out as a scouting expedition to see where General Prevost was going. And he was heading back south. He was taking little detours along the way to visit some more plantations. But he was eventually moving back down south and was heading towards a place called Stono Ferry. But I'll leave that story for another time. Or at this weekend's Camden's event in November, where we're doing the Battle of Stono Ferry. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is what's happened in that period of time 240 years ago today. I'll take any questions if you have them. Or you're so full and happy and everything else is good. Need to go home. Sir?
So, I have a logical question. Where was Marion on that line?
He's on the left side. So he was in the route, whereas the Charleston Overall Militia Brigade was in the line itself. Marion with 100 men were in the redoubt as part of that line. Where later on, during the second battle, will be in the horn work. But for that one, he's in the left redoubt. No others?
What was the deal with Lincoln being so...
Lincoln was, unfortunate with General Lincoln, he was very cautious. Before he made any decision, he held a council of war. And they all agreed, no, we need to get going, sir. If they're making a push, we have most of the army. So what he decided, well, he had crossed over to the Georgia side of the Savannah River to face Augusta. So, well, what do I do? Do I try to go across the river again and come down South Carolina? Or do I just come down and see if I can come in behind and catch Prevost? That's what he tried to do. Unfortunately, he got caught up in the river. He missed Prevost. We could have literally squished him between the city and Lincoln's army had he arrived 2 days earlier. He arrived 2 days later. That's when we went after him when we come Stono Ferry a couple of days down the road. Sir?
So Prevost was afraid of Lincoln coming up behind him?
He was concerned that he would come down behind him, yes. So he kept moving. But he also had the advantages. He wasn't too sure if originally Lincoln was on the South Carolina side of Savannah River. Once he knew that he was across, easy. Because that big barrier of the Savannah River would slow him down one way or the other. Someone over here. Sir?
Well, follow up to that last question. He kept, apparently Lincoln kept saying that all those troop movements were just
a feint.
Yeah.
What he really thought was, and it is military doctrine at the time, if with a siege, to try to draw the major force away, I'm going to make a motion down here, go look at me, come this way, but it's not the true force. So he thought that standard tactics, I would do the same thing, because I outnumber the number of soldiers of Augusta. Prevost is going to make all this motion. And originally it was really just going to be a feint, but Prevost realized there's nothing stopping him. There is no barricades, there's no fortifications, there's nothing but militia between him and Charleston. So he made a strategic decision, I'm going for Charleston. Originally it was intended to be a raid for food and draw attention from Lincoln, try to get him away from Augusta. He saw an opportunity. There's only, again, maybe the 800 or so, not even 800, I think it was only 500 Continentals, the rest were all militia. And by the time they started burning the bridges, the militia were disappearing every night. Even Moultrie wrote, when he went to Dorchester, came back out of his entire brigade of militia, he was down to 600 men. Everyone had gone home to protect their families. He saw the opportunity, he took it. We bluffed him. And just again, time worked out. He saw that, all right, if we try to take the city in siege, we don't have, it was 6 pieces of light artillery, and 3 pounders, 6 pounders, you can't go after the city of Charleston. They'll try that a year later with a lot more artillery and different results. Any others? Sir?
What do you think might have been, might have worked, but if both had to just continue and then afterwards we could follow down back to Augusta.
Lincoln had a pretty good chunk of the Army, most of them were Continentals. It would have been a good fight. Had he get a field of his choosing, he could have done some damage to Lincoln. I don't think he would be able to defeat the entire army, but he would greatly reduce his capability. If Lincoln gets captured, which would have been a strategic victory, or wounded, that would be something to advantage. Again, we would have to wait for a new commander. So if he could have done a push on Lincoln, there was a lot of strategic opportunities that he could have gained had he met Lincoln in battle. Who knows?
They were carrying so much,
They're eluding. And it was almost like we're going to lose by attrition because he kept them breaking off so many men to escort the cattle back. He was losing formations because he's losing a company here and a company there because they're escorting hundreds of cattle and everything else. It was, attrition through victory. Instead of being by, arms, they're losing men to escort all this booty and baggage back to Georgia. So yeah, if we would have kept, and I hate to say that, if we would have kept delaying and allowed him just to run rampage all over the southern plantations, he wouldn't have an army. He would have had a baggage train heading back to Georgia. But who knows? Sir?
So, if Provost had accepted the offer from Governor Rutledge, he would have effectively have removed South Carolina entirely from the war.
Yes, sir.
And gone down in history for doing so.
Yes, sir. With a quick fight, a bloodless fight. The army would have had to withdraw. So we wouldn't have lost the entire Southern Army. We would have been forced to withdraw to another location. Charleston would have been undamaged, but they're still doing commerce because the port is open. Yes?
And by default, Georgia goes along with it.
And Georgia goes with it.
Have any base to go to Georgia.
Right. So either we would have to go to the interior of South Carolina or North Carolina and link up with the rest of the armies. Yeah.
Moment lost.
Moment lost. Those who dare win, as they used to say. Any others?
Just a comment.
Ma'am.
It would seem to me, in the long run, it would have actually been better for us to lose the city than to lose an army.
Lose an army, correct. Because an army can come back to fight another day. We can always rebuild a city. And which we'd have to come back, lay siege to it again until 1782. Any others? So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity.